could go to buy dead body parts of people who have been buried.
How can somebody die in my presence? In Jesus' name. Become.
You could go to Langata Cemetery. I mentioned this name because it is a very well-known place. It's a very well-known cemetery in Kenya, in Nairobi actually. That is where we could go to buy the dead body parts of people who have been buried, or rather, and we could take part of those body parts, for instance, a head or a skull.
The crippled walk again, and the blind can see after many years of blindness. Are these things true? So, would you believe it if you saw evidence that most of these miracles are fake? I'm not here to destroy or judge any belief, but this is the truth from a conversation I had with someone who has been performing fake miracles.
Just go as the halt, it don't happen. No, now only wicked person go see this video, green share. Happy Sunday, my people. This very big popular man of God, he don't confess. Hi! If they tell me, I don't believe. This man don't talk how they use dead body till they perform miracles. And now he don't vow to expose all fake prophets. He don't talk say he no want do again, no, but now they no green allow and live a life. He no free come outside, he no free open church, he no free do anything again. Just because he no want join these occultic people. And he don't say talk say in twin brother, see they operate these fake prophet activities. I not talk too much, so share this video, comment it in the comment section. If you want the part 2, put it in the comment section so that I'll be able to upload it, because the video is very long. I decided to cut this very important part so that I'm gonna watch time. Hell, if they tell me say this pastor that's who he be, I no go believe.
I am coming from a family of 6 children, and by God's grace also I was born with a twin brother. His name is Apostle Kelvin Favor, and he is still a false prophet until to date. And while I left, or while I began the journey of living the falsehood that I was doing, it reached a point the other members of false prophetic ministry, or so-called the brotherhood, they used him to attack me with machete, and he broke my knees. And there was a case that was going on in Roiro, Kiambu County at Court 1, which went for a duration of 10 months, and later on it was not easy for me to forgive him, but later on I forgave him, and I withdrew the charges or the case that was supposed to jail him for more than 8 or 10 years. I remember there was a bishop by the name Bishop Michael Njoroge from a ministry or a church that was called by then Fire Gospel Ministry. When I say those kind of names, that person was a very prominent and very well-known person in the land of Kenya and also in our neighboring country. And he was a false prophet, and he was exposed by one of our television in Kenya by the name NTV. That is 11 years ago. And he was exposed by somebody by the name Muhammad Ali, whereby he had paid a prostitute, for lack of better words, a prostitute to come and testify a false testimony, whereby there was a scandal that happened in his church, Fire Gospel, when it was in the city or capital city of Kenya, Nairobi, at a place called City Cabanas. So this lady was paid by this bishop to come and give a false testimony, because this bishop, behind the scene, he had cooked, or he had prepared, or he had crafted for a testimony that will come to convince people in the church that God had released judgment upon that lady, because the game or the craft or the lies they planned, it was that the lady will come and twist his mouth so that they will convince the people that that lady had spoken negative things concerning that Bishop Michael Njoroge, and God released his judgment upon him. And to cut the long story short, there was a certain amount of money that she was supposed to be paid because of that deceit that they crafted. But it did not went the way they planned, because the junior pastor that were operating under his Bishop Michael Njoroge ministry, they were very drunkard and also womanizers, and they took part of the money that was supposed to pay this lady, and later on they started fighting this lady. So this lady, out of hunger, she went and she did expose how he was used and how he was conned and how he was paid to create or to craft a false prophecy. So I'm touching that kind of testimony because it is very common in the land of Kenya, or in our nation Kenya. So I want our viewers also to understand that is the background that I'm coming from. I was raised by that man called Michael Njoroge.
Ndio alinilipa.
Ulifanyaje mdomo?
Niligeuza mdomo.
Kivipi?
I was doing that false prophecy with my twin brother. And I remember some of the tactics that we could use to gather people information, and later on we changed those informations to be a prophecy to them. This is among the tactics that we could have done, or we could have, that we did. Sorry for that. Now, we could take a phone like this one, and one of our junior pastor will put it inside their coat, a blazer, and the person will just be recording every individual that they're speaking before they enter into the church. And this is what could happen after they have gathered that information. For instance, a person who is gathering that information, he could ask a person, what is your name? The person will say, maybe my name is Monica. Where are you coming from? I'm coming from maybe Kisumu. Now the pastor will say, can I pray for you? The woman will say, yes, you can pray for me. And the pastor will begin to pray, and you will hear in that kind of conversation, the pastor will begin to ask the woman, in the realm of the spirit, while I'm praying for you, I see there is some problem in your family that has to do with sickness. And you know that is not a prophecy, because those are kind of the problem or challenges that every one of us might experience, or our relatives or friends might be going through. So the woman that is being asked those kind of questions herself will just open up, and she will say, yes, maybe my mother or my father, she's very sick, or my father is very sick. And that is when the pastor, now the junior pastor, will ask that woman, what is the name of your mother? Maybe she will say, the name of my mother is Esther. Now you see, that is how that junior pastor at the door, when he's greeting the congregants before they enter church, that's how he could get those information. Now those information he could just type to me and send to me on WhatsApp, even when the service is going on, and I will turn it as a prophecy. And this is what I will say. For instance, I will say, there is a woman here, and I see there is issues of sickness in your family. And the person I'm talking specific, I see your mother by the name something like Esther. Esther. I hear in the realm of the spirit the name Esther. Immediately that lady, because she is among all the people in the church or in our service, she will run very quickly in to the altar. And that is when I will use other informations. And don't forget, in that kind of a service, I will have, or I could have prepared 3 or even 4 other more different people that we did not gather or collect the information or informations, but we have paid them to testify a false prophecy.
Observing how they preached to people in the church, it was hard to imagine that they were actually devising a grand scheme of deception. Their outward appearance and convincing sermons masked their true intentions, making it nearly impossible for anyone to detect their deceitful plans at that point.
For instance, I remember there was one of the miracles that we ever created about a woman being healed the sickness of fibroid. And this is the game that we planned behind the scene without the church knowing, or without the knowledge of anybody. And we planned with this woman, and we told her, today we want to craft, or we want to plan, or we want to demonstrate that God has a power to heal fibroids. And don't forget, our viewers, we don't bypass the power of God of healing. We know God is a healer. But in this context, we are talking about how a false prophet can make or can create a false prophecy. And this is what happens when this woman comes. We could have buy the livers of a cow, a sheep, or a goat, and we could have smashed that that liver. And that woman, just bear with my word for lack of better word, and I'm using this word very respectfully, that woman will take that crushed liver and put it on her pants. And when the prayer will be going on, I will begin to say that in the realm of the spirit, I hear there are angels of healing that have ascended in our service, and they want to heal a woman that has a problem with fibroids. And that is when that lady will come from the congregation. And I will begin to prophesy some 2 or 3 things concerning her that I know. And I will just speak some things that she, whether she knows or she doesn't know, but she will have to agree. For instance, I say, your father is Peter. She will say yes. And I see you have 4 children. She will say yes, man of God. And I will say, I see the last child, she is very sick. She will say yes, man of God. My last child has been she has been having a chronic disease. And I will say, this chronic disease want to kill her. But if today we are going to pray, she's going to be healed. And these are the things that we could craft and deceive people with. And now the miracle time will come, whereby we will use that material that we created, the smashed liver, now to be our wow factor in the service for people to believe. And we could pray and believe and ask the church to pray together with us and believe that God is going to heal this woman or to deliver her from the sickness of fibroid. And that's how the few women that have influence, like a chair lady or a chairman in the church, those protocols, the people that are leaders in the church, we could tell them, the ladies, go and confirm, and they will go with the woman maybe to the washroom, and the woman will show them it is true that fibroid that was in her womb or that was disturbing her or that was causing sickness in her life has been healed. Now, I just use that portion of an example. There are so many, of course, because of time and all, we cannot touch all of them. Let the deliverance go now. In the name of Jesus,
The amazing and terrifying aspect of their story is that, as time went on, they continuously invented new tricks that were unimaginable to anyone who encountered them. Each new deception was more elaborate and disturbing than the last.
Now, it reached to a point, one of these fine days when I was still a false prophet, we could go even to Langata Cemetery. I mentioned this name because it is a very well-known place. It's a very well-known cemetery in Kenya, in Nairobi actually. That is where we could go to buy the dead body parts of people who have been buried, or rather, and we could take part of those body parts, for instance, a head or a skull. And we could purchase this kind of a skull or a head of a human being, depending with how good it is, in terms of maybe it's not rotten, like it is not looking like a skull. We could bargain based on how it is new, like it is not much rotten. Now, we could use that kind of a skull from a graveyard to go and use it to get money from the members of our church or the visitors that have come to our church. And how could we use to exercise that exercise? Number one, in our church, don't forget, we could have convinced people in radios and in television, like there was a local local TV station that we used to air our programs. It was called UTV, and some many more. So we could air our programs and we could convince our viewers that we have spiritual abilities to see things in the spiritual realm, and we are real prophets. And for instance, I remember there was one of a place that is called Kiambu County in the land of Kenya, or in the nation Kenya, and that is when we arranged for a scam whereby there was a certain lady that came to our church. She was a very rich woman, and we sent one of our mercenary. There were people that we could use them, but they were not in our church. Those were the mercenary. That's if we want to go to do those kind of dangerous missions, we could hire them, because most of them, they were gangsters, criminals, and so forth, so on. So those are the people that we could use to go and take that skull and follow that member that had come in our church, or one of our church member. The guy that we are going to send, we will send that guy to follow that member until the destination of that member. For instance, if we have a targeted person, by then we could call them a targeted customer, because in falsehood, the church, the congregants, they are not just washirika, or they are not just the congregants. To us, by them, they were customers, because we could know how to get money from them. And that's and one of the objective of falsehood is to make sure they gather a huge number of people, because to them it's not about salvation and repentance of sin and forgiveness of sin, and it's not about leading them to know God and saving them from eternal judgment. To a false prophet is about how they can acquire wealth from these global people that have come in their churches. And also, I remember as I was giving this story, I remember that lady, we requested for a certain lady to come in our office, and we said, we want to pray to you. This is what we told the lady: we want to pray to you, but we want you, after this prayer, you go straight to your home. Don't go anywhere. We gave her some conditions because of the game, or because of the deceit that we had planned.